Hi everyone. So now we're up to what happened to me when I got government housing part 19. And every week when I make this video, I have to hesitate because I still hope that none of this was real, but it was. And there were a lot of things happening to me, as you know, because if you've stuck with me to this point, you would have seen um, everything that happened. And there are also other issues going on at the block. So I'm going to continue to tell you my story as best I can. So on the 15th of the 5th, 2016, the police attended the block and they broke down the door of one of my neighbours, and they found him dead inside the unit. And this was a huge shock to me for many reasons. And I don't want to talk about all of the details, and I won't detail my feelings and my thoughts about everything, but I'll tell you as much as I can to try to put this into context, like in my efforts to tell you my story and the story of what was happening to me at that time. And I'll explain to you how this incident affected me and some of the things that were relevant to what happened to me after that event. So the police attended the block at about 6:30 p.m. and they were still there after 10:30 p.m. And I don't know if that's normal for those situations because, as you should understand, I didn't know what the situation was anyway. So I'm not trying to judge whether or not that was correct. The person that died was a friend of mine, and he was also a young man of around 35 years old. I don't know why the police were there for so long, and I just wanted to say at this point that even though I can't talk about all the details of that day, I am willing to talk about them in a confidential situation, such as to a lawyer. And I kept records for myself of other things that I have to say. And that goes for all the other details as well. For example, I haven't named any of the police that I spoke about in this series, but I was willing to name them to lawyers, and more importantly, the judge who heard my application for compensation was provided with these details, and including all of the details that I can't reveal in these videos. It's very hard to lose a friend, and to lose them in circumstances where you don't know what has happened is hard as well, which I'm sure everyone can relate to. And things were getting even worse for me on a personal level because on the 17th of the 5th, 2016, I suffered a medical breakdown. I don't know what caused the breakdown, as there were so many things happening to me, but I believe that it was the stress of everything that happened, including being assaulted, being yelled at by the police, the fact that the police refused to assist me, the fact that I didn't have a lawyer to assist me, being yelled at by the respondent's lawyer, and obviously suffering violent property damage and the emotional and financial stress that went along with that, and the fact that the officers who attended for that incident were so hard on me, and the female officer who attended had badgered me into moving out of my home. And of course, there was the death of a friend on top of all of that. So all of these things must have culminated and caused my breakdown. And the judge who heard my application for compensation was given a copy of my medical certificate, which proved that I suffered a medical incident. But as we know, I still didn't get compensation. So another thing that I wanted to emphasize at this point is that I'm telling you my story for those of you who care. I know that some people have tried to help me or have wanted to contact me when this was going on, and for many reasons, I wasn't able to respond to them. And this is mainly what motivated me to tell my story. There are a lot of people who did the wrong thing and let me down during that period in my life, but there were also some well meaning people who deserve to know the truth. There have been so many lies told about me, and the fact that I was running away from the respondent and the fact that I was socially isolated because of reasons that followed on from that, um, people have been scared away from me, and I was scared away from people. I appreciate everyone who has supported me and who tried to contact me during that period, and I intend to do what I can to tell you all the truth about what happened in as much detail as I can. The person who died at the block was just a couple of doors from my front door. And for some reason, his unit was vacant for some time after his body was removed. And the other thing that was strange was that the smell of his dead body lingered for some time as well, which I can't explain. And this caused me a huge amount of distress. I don't know what other people experience when that happens in a block of units, because it's not a topic that you can walk around talking to people about. But I would have thought that it would be a priority for the Department of Housing to clean the units so the smell didn't cause distress to the other residents. This is something that I wanted to mention, not just to explain to you what I was going through, but to open up a conversation for other people who may have been in the same situation. I think that a lot of things that happen in government housing aren't talked about because people feel ashamed or alone, or because they feel that they have no one who will believe them. I think that the Department of Housing should have explained to residents why it was taking so long for the unit to be cleaned, and they should have done more to remove the smell given the distress that it caused. And to be honest, this was one of the hardest issues that I've had to deal with, and that I will probably have to talk about in this series of videos. If you're able to think about what I've just said in an abstract manner, it may seem strange that I'd be discussing something like this, but for me, it wasn't abstract. And it was a very personal situation, and it was a very real situation. And the way death is managed by public services is something that people should be able to speak about. And I hope that other people in a similar situation are able to come forward and tell their story as well.